Good morning. I'm starting very early today because I'm going to take a stroll through Central Park, finding a nice spot for our practice. And since I'm walking, I don't have the ability to tag anybody. I may do so when I find the spot. But let's hope that you guys find your way here on your own. So there's a time difference between Cozumel and New York, 1 hour, and it is 8:15 here. And apparently this is the time when all the doggies are getting walked. Good morning. Oh my goodness. Good morning. As I pass by people and dogs, I'm going to wish them loving kindness. May they be filled with loving kindness. Good morning. Putting our loving kindness practice to real life. And by the way, notice how I say good morning to everybody as if I'm in Cozumel, and nobody's really saying it back to me. Which reminds me, New York is very friendly. It's fine, but I often remember the story since there's a lot of time anyway before our practice. But I often remember the story that I lived in this apartment building, like a big concierge, apartment in New York City, and I had a neighbor for several years, and that neighbor had a dog, and the dog would always come into my apartment whenever the door was open, and I knew the dog's name. And in all those years that I lived on the same floor with that person, I never asked her name. She never asked my name, and we would just say hi, bye. But I knew the dog's name. The dog's name was Cookie, but the person's name, no clue. Huh? Where can we sit so that it is nice? All right. So may this person, this man who is cleaning the ground, be filled with loving kindness. May he have a good day. Maybe I should go sit on that boulder. It looks quite inviting. May the woman and the baby in front of me be filled with loving kindness. And the man who's walking towards me, clearly ready to do some jogging or fast walking in a moment, may he be filled with loving kindness. And all those people biking and running, may they have a beautiful day. Okay, what's the time now? Still early, so we can walk a little bit. Yeah, maybe I'll go set up on this boulder. Looks very nice. Oh, look at that beautiful dog. All right, let's see. Good morning, Connie. Ooh, the question is how we're gonna do it. Good morning, Judy. Trying to set up here. Maybe this way. Now that I'm set up on the boulder, I can tag people. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Jean. It's so interesting. I'm so used to the sun in Kojamal that it feels weird that for the past several days it's been so cloudy. It hasn't been raining really, just maybe a little drizzle here and there. And the weather is perfect. I just love this kind of weather. It's like um, high 60s, low 70s, and I'm just thriving in this weather. But the absence of sun creates this weirdness in my system that I'm not used to anymore. Shows you how easily we get used to some things. Good morning, John. Maybe before we start the practice, I'll angle it here so that you see all the commotion. Oops. All the bikers and runners. What is happening in Central Park at 8 o'clock in the morning? Well, 8:25 now. Good morning, Joey. Good morning, Gina. So my friend's daughter, who I took to school last time when I was here in July, she's now in kindergarten. She's 5, so she goes to a different place, and I am going to be taking, today was my first day to take her on a school bus. It was her second time on the school bus. She was very excited. And it's very close to Central Park, just like 1 block. So I guess after that, I'm just going to be walking around here until our practice to find different spots. And I know you like those little strolls, so maybe I'll be starting earlier sometimes and just doing the strolls together. There's so many beautiful places here. Today I did not find the most beautiful, but it's good enough. I am content. I see that people are joining, but I cannot see comments anymore for some reason. Oh no, now I see them again. Never mind. Comments. Good morning, Anne. All right, let me give you a little bit more of a nature shot as we are starting. I love boulders in Central Park. That's so pretty. I'm so happy that my friends moved here. They used to live in Midtown some years ago. About 5, 6 years ago, they moved, and such a pretty location. My goodness. Every time I'm here, I'm like just really enjoying. So easy to go on a quick nature walk. Anyways, it is time for us to start. And today we are moving on to the next guideline in the 16 Buddhist guidelines for a happy and skillful living. It's still in the how we think category. The topic today is contentment. The state of contentment resides in the space between very uplifting emotions such as eagerness, enthusiasm, love, and more subdued emotions like boredom, pessimism, and frustration. So it's somewhere in between on the spectrum. And just like patience, contentment relates to the quality of being fully, wholeheartedly present and not worrying about the past or leaning anxiously into the future. In our modern day culture, this can be quite a challenging practice. We usually roller coaster between extreme highs and very uncomfortable lows, both triggered by external stimuli. But to practice contentment is to say, this is enough. This moment is enough. This person is enough. I have enough. I am enough. And as always, there is a fine line between being in this moment exactly as it is and it's kind of sliding into this indifference or status quo. So it's not to be confused with condoning certain behaviors or sliding into status quo, whether it's towards ourselves or other people. The true freedom and contentment begin to find their way into our lives when we release our constant need to change things and start seeing them simply as they are, neutral. Remember the practice of equanimity that we spent quite a bit of time on just a couple of weeks ago. So really nothing is inherently good or inherently bad. Everything just is. And then we start putting emotional qualifiers on top of all of it. Sen states, the way isn't difficult for those who are unattached to their preferences. The way isn't difficult for those who are unattached to their preferences. So yes, of course, we're allowed to have preferences, and it's great. It's great to know what you want, when you want it, how you want it. But the question is, how obsessed are we about it? Must we have it, or else we feel anxious or depressed? Or is it just a gift when we receive something that we prefer? So there is a freedom when there is space, and there is this anxiety and all sorts of unpleasant emotional states when we just have to have it our way. A big, big difference. Deborah Adele, the author of the book Yamas and Niyamas, which I, by the way, highly recommend, writes, we spend huge amounts of energy maneuvering ourselves and manipulating others so that our days will be filled with what we like and void of what we don't like. Unfortunately, though, looking outward for fulfillment will always disappoint us and keep contentment one step out of our reach. Looking outward for fulfillment will always disappoint us, and keep contentment one step out of the reach. So it follows, like with everything else with internal inner practice, contentment is an inside job. So let's explore this together. Take a comfortable position. And as always, take a few moments to notice what's happening. Notice the circumstances of your practice, both external and internal. What's going around you, what's going inside you. With every breath cycle, reminding yourself that truly everything is one. There is no inner and outer, that the boundary gets dissolved with each breath. Let your breath be easy, uncontrolled, very comfortable. Doesn't have to be long or deep. Just let it be deliberate. Know that you're breathing without trying to control it. Invite effortlessness into your system, body, mind, heart. Even if it's just for a moment, how does it feel to be effortless? To just be. Scan your body from top to bottom. With each exhale, finding a little bit more connection with the ground. Reminding yourself of the support that is always present, that you always can rely on, lean on. Remind yourself you don't need to hold yourself up. You can shake off whatever tension is holding you. Trust that the earth is there to carry you. Set your primary anchor for the practice, which can be your breath or any sensation in the body, whether it's in your hands or your belly or whatever is easy for you to come back to every time you get distracted. And now notice, what are you thinking right now, in this very moment? Are you content with the topic of our mindful morning today? Are you okay with the pace I'm taking? The things I chose to highlight for this talk? Are you okay with the spot that I picked? And if something is not to your liking, which is perfectly fine, notice what is your internal reaction to it. And of course, it's not only about those questions that I just asked. So when you're done answering them, let the mind do its thing. Continue thinking, and you simply observe, noticing whatever it is you notice. I'll give you a couple of minutes in silence for that. Of course, you're welcome to notice not only your thoughts, but also physical sensations. And look at those through the lens of contentment. Is it okay for you to be with your physical sensations right now, knowing that even if they feel unpleasant, they're not inherently good or bad. It's just what you're experiencing. So can you be okay with that? Can you be content with whatever is happening right now in your mind, body, and heart? And if not, please don't get frustrated with yourself. It's a perfectly fine and normal process. Simply notice what your reaction is. If it is a physical sensation that's very unpleasant or mildly unpleasant, do you want to try to get rid of it right away? What if you give it a pause and then make your choice whether you stay with it or not? If it is a thought, you're trying to get rid of it right away. Again, what if you take a pause and just observe? Can I be with it right now? Can I be okay with it? Not necessarily happy, but not necessarily miserable. Just okay. If you feel settled and everything feels easy, I bet it's good and feels content. You feel content easily. But if you feel unsettled and antsy and like moving around and just your mind can't find this focus, you can be content with that as well. Just give it a pause, give it an intention, stay with it for just one moment, and notice that in this moment, everything is all right. You can be content. You can be okay. Okay with being unfocused, okay with being unsettled, okay with everything that is not to your liking. How does that feel? I would like to complete our practice today with a little wisdom, one of my absolute favorites. When a 116-year-old man was asked the secret to his longevity, he replied, "When it rains, I let it." And to me, this is the quintessential phrase for contentment. When a 116-year-old man was asked the secret to his longevity, he replied, "When it rains, I let it." So there is no struggle. Nothing is inherently bad or good. Things just are. And if we allow ourselves to be okay with them, just the way they are, we may live to 116 years as well. So as you go about your day today, I invite you to notice how much energy you spend moving towards what you enjoy and avoiding whatever you dislike. And every time you take this note, is there any physical gripping in your body in these instances? Whether you're trying to chase after something or run away from it? Any tension? If you notice that, can you take a pause and relax into it and relax into this moment? Again, reminding yourself that you are much more spacious than any of the emotion, any of the sensation, any of the thoughts that you have. And this space allows for true freedom, patience, contentment, and radical happiness. Thank you so much for being here today. Have a gorgeous day, and I will see you tomorrow.